3.
What's up, friends? What's happening? Welcome to Chaos Live number 69. So, what's up, you awesome Notification Platoon individuals? There's people that are early to the stream before it even started. We got Bill Black, we got T-Dog, we got Just Did This to Have Music. Interesting username, by the way. We got Mr. Hernandez, we got Isaac Stone, Give Me $5, Lovable Xena, Edward Jr., Doug, Steven Edwards, we got T-Dog, we got SCP, Anakin, Hidden Shadow, Mitchell, Willwood, Mr. Brandon, Troy Gaming, Nathan Brady, Bit Expert, Darian Hardwick, and Michael Dosh, looks like. I think I got everybody. So what's happening, guys? Welcome to Chaos Live. If you've never been to this is my fun live stream that I do on the weekends to hang out with all you awesome people. Answer questions best as I can. If I know the answers to them, you can leave questions down in the chat. Do my best to answer quite a few of them, but I can't answer every single one of them. So just make sure you drop your question in there. If I happen to get to it, I'll get to it. But I do have to jump around a little bit, otherwise I get too backlogged on the questions and all that stuff. So let's jump into it, shall we? We got Lovable Xena, how's it going? Let's see, some highs, some hellos. I said some hellos. Well, you guys, 11 X-Ray, Isaac says. Good luck to you. 92 Golf, or 92 Alpha, actually. Hello, just got done with a 12-hour game in Arma 3. That's intense. It's pretty intense. I'm getting enlisted as a 15 uniform. Well, good luck to you. How's it going? New enlisted here under the 11 X-Ray MOS. Awesome. Well, good luck to you. Have fun at OSIT, Fort Benning. Bit Expert says I'm back. Awesome, Bit Expert. Bit Expert dropping in a super chat as well, saying what's up for super chat. Thank you, Bit Expert. Thanks for the donation. You rock. You're awesome. I appreciate that very much. What's up, Jay the Vorn? How's it going? Chris, do you have an email that I can send questions to? I do. There's a little contact thing. If you go to my channel, there's a link to that, but it's easy. It's easy to remember. Chris at ChristopherChaos.com. If you want to shoot me an email, that's fine. It's my public email that I allow people to shoot me messages to, shoot me an email or whatever, and I try to get back to you as best possible. Sometimes it's just easier to follow me on Instagram. You got Instagram link. Not really a link, but it's that Chris Chaos. You find me on Instagram, shoot me a message over there. That helps as well. Sometimes that's an easy way to hit me up as well. Is there a possible Jody joke in the episode number? Could be. I don't know. Is there? What's the 1st Security Forces Assistance Brigade? It's with SFAB. They there's multiple brigades. There's more than one, just one SFAB. But we have, I forget which one we have. We have one in Fort Carson. We have some other locations, whatever. But they're basically like advisors. They do training. They do different things like that. They're supposed to like kind of the intention that they would go to another country to be the advisory to that local national country to help their military, to help their police or whatever, as well as assist in training and helping them with different kind of things along those lines. It's kind of essentially what they're for. What is the best part of the Army? The people. You get to meet some pretty good people, I would say. So I'd say that's probably maybe one of my favorite things about the military, but everybody has their own kind of thing. Yeah, Mr. Brandon Gideon, is that how you'd pronounce that? Probably. I'm horrible with names, guys. If I jack up your name, it's nothing personal. I'm just horrible with names and pronunciations and all that stuff. But thank you. You're awesome, Mr. Brandon, for the super chat. Thanks, Chris. Well, thank you. Thank you, sir. You are awesome. And I appreciate you being here. It's great. Every one of you. Favorite camo pattern? Mine is Cryptic. Well, Cryptic is awesome. I do like Cryptic. Military, the Army at least, doesn't use Cryptic, but I do like that pattern. If you're talking about like non-military and all, I'd probably have to agree with you. The darker one. I have a T-shirt that I have, the Chaos one, that has the dark Cryptic kind of pattern. I really like that pattern. So if you're talking about like military and non-military, then I would probably agree with you. That's probably my favorite as well. But if we're talking about just military, I like the OCP current pattern that the Army uses, and now the Air was Air Force as well. Can you explain and go really in depth with ROTC program and what percent of my college will pay for by the Army? I really probably wouldn't be very good at that. I know some stuff here and there about ROTC, but I didn't do that or anything like that, so I don't have any direct experience with it. I don't know how much of it they pay. But you're basically going to college for 4 years, but also doing Army stuff along with it. And then in the summers, you're doing training, going to basic training at some point in there, and doing a lot of military stuff. And then by the time you graduate, you're being commissioned as a commissioned officer and coming in as lieutenant. But there's be at some point in time where you're a cadet and you'll do some actual stuff with an Army unit where you'll be a cadet. I remember many times having like these brand new cadets coming and like kind of shadowing our lieutenant, and they would kind of do it that way. So, but that, as far as like how much they pay for and all that stuff, I don't really can tell you. I don't know that much. Shipping out this week for OSUT 19 Kilo. Good luck to ya. Chiefs lost, so helped the Raiders in our bye week. So good day for the Raiders Nation. That is awesome. That is good. What's up? Was it Jerm Ori? I don't know how to pronounce that. Germ. We'll go with Germ. I don't know. How realistic do you think the new Call of Duty will be compared to actual warfare? I don't know. I'm sure there's probably going to be some, exaggeration just to make it exciting and everything. You don't want to make it too realistic because sometimes that gets boring and doesn't add a lot of excitement to it. So sometimes you have to have a little bit of craziness in there to build up the action and excitement. But we'll find out. I'll probably do a gaming live stream maybe here and there when the new one comes out, and we'll try it out. I'm digging Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon's awesome. That one's fun. Just read Armor and Scouts will start 22-week OSUT. I haven't seen that. That's possible. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. Why no Snapchat? I don't really use Snapchat. I have a Snapchat. It's just that Chris Chaos. I think it's the same exact handle. But I rarely use it. These are the ones I'm more active with. Like Instagram, I'm pretty active with. Facebook is kind of really just being populated from Instagram. Same with kind of like Twitter. But at least we'll still do some stuff with Facebook. Twitter, I don't actually use Twitter, but other stuff populates to Twitter. So I don't know. But yeah, Snapchat I rarely use. What do you think about the new ACFT? Everyone was talking about it. I think it's great. I mean, everybody was always afraid that there's going to be injuries and everybody's going to have a hard time. And people says that this is just the good idea fairy adding crap into there, and people who love CrossFit and everything. But I feel like it's a way better test of your physical fitness abilities compared to just doing push-ups, sit-ups, and a 2-mile run. This is way better, more combat related, a better overall test of endurance and strength and everything. So I think it's a lot better evaluation. The standards are fairly low-ish, I would say. There's some events that get pretty hard. Like I know, like that video I did talking about how there was a large majority of females that were struggling with the leg tuck. And, I think I even said in that video that a lot of that comes from the units aren't really fully practicing it just yet. But also, if you don't have that core body strength, it can be difficult, especially because you're doing 4 other events before that, doing the medicine ball throw, doing the sprint drag carry, doing the push-ups and everything like that. So if someone who isn't in really good shape and, physically conditioned, then yeah, you're probably burnt out before you even get to the leg tuck and your arms are already smoked or whatever. So that can be tough. It just comes down to more discipline with physical fitness. So, but I like it. I think it's a good test. Going to my first Raiders game October 27th in Houston before I get sent out to basic training November 4th. Well, awesome. Good luck. Hopefully have fun at the game. That's awesome. Skipping down a little bit because I'm getting a little bit behind already. Chris, have you ever guarded the DMZ in Korea? I have. I was stationed at the DMZ. We did. I was there for the 50th armistice signing, or the kind of anniversary or whatever. And that was one of the things I had to do. Was I had to me and several other guys had to stand there at the border armed and make sure that no tourists or anything like that tried to like rush the border or do anything crazy and try to run across it. So we had to stand there near the border to be able to grab someone, tackle them if need be, if they tried to run across the border. But yeah, I have. I worked at that wasn't like what my job normally was. Otherwise, normal times I was just doing things around the little Camp Boniface that was right there at the DMZ. So I was doing stuff around that base and stuff. But There was a time that I did guard the DMZ. Hey, can I change my MOS before I ship out? I still have about 4 months. I don't know. I don't think so, but you could always talk to your recruiter and find out. But I think that would kind of reset the process, because now they have to find a basic training that's going to correlate with some open slots for your AIT. So that's kind of usually what they do, is they try to line up your basic training to where you're going to graduate basic training at a time when your AIT is going to start. So there's not like some kind of big gap of waiting for an AIT class to start. So if now there's not an AIT class available at the same time frame that they had available for you, then that might be something where they're going to have to kind of figure out where you're going to go to basic training, when you're going to basic training, so that way it'll line up with your AIT. So you can talk to a recruiter. I don't know if that's possible though. Is the current OCP uniform similar to the Woodland camo? It's a different color. I don't know how to explain it, but no, it's kind of more of a different color. Could you re-enlist if you wanted to? I could, but I've been out for a while, so they would make my ass go back to basic training. That's the one thing that would really suck. If you're out for too long, they'll make you go back to basic training. So I could, yeah. There's no reason why I couldn't go back in. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to go back in. I'm happy with being out of the Army and everything like that. But if for some weird, crazy reason I was going to go back into the Army, they would make me go back through basic training. So that'd be kind of a downfall. Is Benning the only for East Coast? No, I mean it could be anybody. I was a West Coast guy, and I went to Fort Benning. How fast do you rank up in a combat MOS? So I've talked about this. I think in the last live stream. But E1 through E4 is really the same for everybody for the most part, because that's just a time and rank, time and grade kind of criteria as far as when you move to the next rank. But for going to E5 and E6 and everything like that, that does kind of depend on your MOS. Usually combat MOSs have lower point standards because they have so many people in that MOS that they are constantly needing non-commissioned officers in those MOSs, so the points are usually low standards, whereas certain other MOSs, they don't have as many people in the Army in those MOSs, so they are often pretty full on non-commissioned officers in that MOS, so the points are usually higher to make it harder to not oversaturate leadership and oversaturate non-commissioned officers in the Army. So it can be a little bit more challenging. But usually combat arms MOSs, because there's so many individuals in those MOSs, usually have a lower standard as far as points to get promoted, so it's a little easier for the most part in most cases. What's the age limit for SF? I'm 31. I don't remember what the age limit. It might still just be the 35 age limit for joining the Army, but I'm not 100% sure on that, if that is actually the case or not. You'd have to probably talk to a recruiter or something like that. I don't know if they have an actual age limit on that kind of a thing. I read a lot of females have failed the new ASCFT. Yeah, there was a lot of females trying to, or not trying to. They was having a hard time doing the leg tuck and everything like that. Like I said, it comes down to, you got to work those muscle groups. And so that can be tough if it's something brand new, especially you haven't been practicing for it. Do you think ISIS could have resurgence due to the Kurds being? Oops, I missed it. Oh, there we go. Kurds being occupied with fighting Turkey? I have no idea. Could not tell you. I'm no expert. Evie, what's happening? How's it going? Welcome. Thanks for coming in. What's happening, Jonathan, as well? There's an ACFT group for women in Facebook. They all doing the leg tuck. Interesting. If you say so. Chris, I've wondered, how does underwater training work with a SF recruit if they need glasses or contacts? I don't know how much. I don't know how much underwater training actually do, if they do that much. But either way, you just kind of have to be able to be good enough without your glasses. But because Special Forces don't do things like the Navy SEALs do, it's not as big of a deal. There might be some in the water stuff, but not really necessarily underwater stuff. So I don't think it really matters, but because it's not going to be that heavy on underwater training anyways. but you probably just not wear glasses and you're just doing a little bit of probably drown proofing or anything like that. Chris, you and Matt Ward should collaborate and do a video. I tried. He didn't get back with me. He said he was down, and then he just kind of, I don't know. I didn't hear from him again since after that. So he was going to be in that whatchamacallit video, the Soldier's Creed video. He said he was down. I was like, cool, send me the footage and I'll put you in with it. And then I just never heard from him again. So I tried already. Yeah, I got lost in the chat here for a second there. I'm a vet in Canada from the Army. Well, awesome. All vets are awesome, I guess. As long as you're not a crappy vet that's doing horrible stuff. What's your favorite American football team, Chris? I root for the Raiders. I wouldn't necessarily say that I follow them very closely. So I really couldn't tell you a lot of the players on the team or anything like that, or how their, stats are and everything. But I root for the Raiders. What if you vomit during basic training because you're out of shape? It happens, especially if you get dehydrated, doing those runs like crazy and everything like that, and you start dry heaving and you start throwing up your breakfast, or actually you do breakfast after PT. So I don't know. But no, they don't care. I mean, they're probably going to yell at you because they find anything they can possibly yell at you for, but it happens. It's not a big deal. What are the different types of recruiters? There's not really different types of recruiters. There's Army recruiters, and then for each branch. That's pretty much all, just one set recruiters. Which branch do you think is the best looking uniforms? I like that. Well, now the Army and Air Force, I like the camouflage pattern for those ones. And then as far as dress uniforms, I think I like the Marines the best for dress uniforms. Did the North Korean soldiers just stare at you when you were at the DMZ? They would watch. Yeah, they would kind of just watch you. Nothing crazy. But yeah, you would see them on the other side of the border, and they're not that far away from you either. And they would kind of just watch what you're doing. You'd be doing stuff or whatever, doing work up there and everything, and they would just be watching you as we were doing with them, I guess. What I know about Seabees? Pretty much nothing. I've done some stuff with the younger Seabees, the kids, when they come through, and done some training at my work location. It's been a while since we've done anything with Seabee kids, but I really don't know much about it. What are your thoughts on active duty green to gold program? I plan to do this 2 years into my Army. It's a pretty good career, or a pretty good path to kind of do for your career. I've known a couple people that have done that. So you essentially get to, if you qualify, you get accepted for the green to gold program, then they kind of let you leave the Army to go to college and finish up your degree or get a degree, whatever you need to kind of do. And then you're kind of still locked in to come back to the Army, though. So you're basically getting out of the Army to go to college full time if need be, and then coming back to the Army as an officer. So it's a pretty good program. If you qualify for it, I would recommend it if that's a path you want to go for. Why does the military teach some crap hand-to-hand combat techniques? I don't know about crap ones. We do jiu-jitsu now. So now you do combatives, and it's basically Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And I think that's pretty good. So that's basically what they teach now. You'll do some very makeshift version of that, really just summary or a little bit of fundamentals of combatives in basic training, and then later, if you want to go through combatives training for level 1, level 2, or whatever, and go through all the different levels, then you can get pretty skilled in that and learn some great jiu-jitsu out of it. Where did I go for basic? I went to Fort Benning, Georgia. If I pick an MOS and it's time to re-enlist, can I change my MOS? Prior JS, is it a difficult thing to do? Is it a difficult thing to do? Not, it depends. So yes, you can change MOSs if you want to. So you come up to your end of your contract, you want to re-enlist to reclass, is what it would be considered. Now you still have to qualify for that MOS. They have to be slots available for that MOS for you to reclass to. But if you qualify for it and they need people at your rank, if you're a lower enlisted soldier, if you're a non-commissioned officer, that kind of depends. Are they needing more lower enlisted soldiers at that MOS. If you already made it to a non-commissioned officer, then it comes down to, do they need more non-commissioned officers than that MOS for you to reclass to? So you have to qualify for that MOS. But yes, if you qualify, meet all the qualifications for it, then essentially you can reclass. You'll go off to their AIT, but it's a lot better than like when you went to their AIT originally as a new soldier, because you're treated a lot better. You're not having to live in the barracks with the new soldiers. You'll stay off in these other special barracks or special housing or something like that they have lined up, and you're really just showing up for PT, showing up for training, and then you kind of have your own freedom in the evenings and on the weekends. So it's a little bit better. If you have law enforcement history, can you be ranked up higher? Not really. The only way you can really rank up higher is from having like college education, a little bit like if you're like an Eagle Scout or what else was there? There's like JROTC. Now, if you got law enforcement history that also gave you a criminal justice degree, that's kind of still treated the same as college. So if you had like a bachelor's or even an associate's, that allows you to get a little bit of rank to come in when you first come in. But generally, law enforcement in general, not just specifically that. But if you have some college credits or whatever because you went through like a criminal justice degree or whatever, then yes, you can come in at a little bit higher of a rank. Skip through a little bit. How often will I get deployed as airborne infantry? It just depends. Depends on the unit. There's no set thing based on the type of unit you're in or whatever. It just depends on the unit, what their mission is and what's going on and how often they might deploy. So that can really vary across the board for anybody. Hey Chris, can you tell me a little bit about what they look for in security clearances? It's just a really, really in-depth background check. So they're going to be going through all your history, any kind of criminal records, your finances, because that kind of plays a factor in there, because you could be more susceptible to bribes if you are really far into debt. Then they look at that as like a possible bad thing where you could possibly be prone to someone trying to bribe you to get information out of you. So if you're really deep into debt and behind on bills and maybe missing payments and stuff like that, that can really affect your ability to get a security clearance. They're going to do a background check on some of the people you're close with. You're going to have to put down some references of people you know, addresses you lived at. They're going to check into all that. And there's really in-depth process. It's a humongous pack you have to fill out for a security clearance. It's a pain in the ass, especially trying to remember all the addresses or trying to find someone who can give you the addresses that you lived at, and then be able to put all that in there. So yeah, it's a pain, but yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, and it takes a little bit of time. Did you have any interactions with the North Korean soldiers at the DMC? I did not. Nope, never talked to any of them. They just always, you're not supposed to anyways, but they would just be there on the other side. Can you explain block leave during basic training? That only happens if your basic training, or even AIT really, happens to fall at the same time as Christmas. Then they kind of will have you put in leave. You have to pay for a plane ticket, so it's kind of up to you if you want to or not. If you stay behind, probably gonna be stuck doing CQ and guard duty and cleanup details and stuff. But they usually offer it up to anybody who wants to go home during Christmas for, I don't know if they do a week or if they only do like maybe like 4 or 5 days. I'm not too sure on that part because I didn't have that happen to me. But and you also have to have the leave days. They'll usually let you go negative, I think, on leave days if you want to for that time frame. But you do still have to pay for your plane ticket or your transportation to get home. So it'd be something like that. So you'll sign on a leave. You have a specific day you have to be back by a certain time. Usually it's midnight. And then sign back in and then back to training. So, but that only happens if you if your basic training or AIT falls on Christmas. Otherwise, there is no leave while you're in basic training. You have to wait until after you graduated basic training and AIT. When the bus stopped at Fort Knox for all the drill, told us to do 40 push-ups, and we were in Class A uniforms. Yeah, they'll smoke you whenever. It doesn't matter what uniform you're in. Just got home. What's happening, Joe? How long does it take to get shipped off to basic usually? It depends on how soon there's a basic training with open slots and how fast you want to go. They have bonuses if you want to do a quick ship. What is it, within 60 days, 30 days? I think 60 days, something like that. If they have an available slot for you and you want to ship that fast, sometimes you get a little bonus out of it. But it all comes down to when there's open slots for it. Do you know where most language-focused MOSs go usually go for basic? No, I don't. I don't know if that really even matters. I'm not sure though. I'm just curious, is there any way to skip AIT, such as if you're a civilian cop or a firefighter or construction worker, can you do a reduced AIT? No, not really, because even if you already know how to do the job, let's say for that example, you were a civilian police officer and now you're coming into the Army as a MP, as a military police officer, they still want to make sure you know the regulations of the military version compared to the civilian one. So you still have to go through the same AIT, even though you may know a lot of the material, but they want to make sure that you're familiar with kind of their rules and regulations for that kind of job or that MOS. So even if you're a construction person, that kind of same thing. They want to make sure that you're up to date and know how to work the military equipment, because the military equipment can be different than the civilian side and their protocols and their ways of doing things. So no, I don't think there's really a way to skip AIT that I can think of, unless you're someone who is already in that MOS, got out and came back in, then yeah, you don't have to go back through AIT or anything like that. That's kind of the only kind of way you can kind of do that. But prior civilian training won't allow you to skip AIT, because they still want you to learn their protocols and everything. I wanted to do more for some reason. I don't know what you're talking about. Not sure what you're referencing there. My AIT fell over the holidays. I remember a bunch of soldiers refused to report back. Yeah, that can suck, because then you're considered AWOL and you get in trouble. Chris, did you ever do stuff with Australian Army when you were in deployment? No, I don't think I worked with any of the other countries other than Iraqi on a deployment. The only time I ever worked with other people from other countries was in Korea, working with Koreans, but I also worked with some Swiss. But that's it. Never worked with any Australians, British, none of that stuff. Can you get a home as a single soldier? Not really. Sort of. You could have some options to be able to do that. You're not going to receive any BAH or BAS. If you're a single soldier and you can afford to live off base, like I did that once I became a sergeant. I was tired of living in the barracks, and so I wanted to live off base, so I did so. And I went and just, got paid out of my pocket for my apartment. I didn't receive BAH or BAS, so you can kind of do that if you can afford it, and your leadership approves of it and allows you to do so. But otherwise, no. Joe, thanks for joining, even though I'm pretty sure I thought you were already joined. Did you unjoin and then rejoin? Hey Chris, I just got air crew in the Marine Corps. I ship out March 2nd. Do you know if I will get to select the aircraft I will be manning? I don't know anything about the Marines. I would imagine you probably don't. You probably don't get to choose that. It's probably just a matter of where they need people at. So yeah, I don't know. Does every branch offer a quick ship bonus? I don't know. I know the Army does. I don't know if the other branches do or not, though. Just because you were a combat medic doesn't automatically make you a certified medic on the civilian side. Yeah, I guess it even goes the same way too. Yeah, so you, like I was talking about earlier, how if you have like experience on the civilian side, going to the military side, you still have to go through AIT, and that's kind of vice versa. Even going to the civilian side too, you go and you have a job on the civilian side, doesn't necessarily transfer over to the military side, for example, or to the civilian side from the military to the civilian side. For example, like me when I was 88 Mike, that just doesn't make it to where I'm automatically approved for like a Class C driver's license. It does give a little bit of leeway to where I think there are some states that just make you take the test and then you're good. You don't have to go through the training and a certain amount of hours of training. So that kind of is a positive, but it's not like just an automatic, here you go, you were an 88 Mike in the Army, so here's your Class C driver's license. So you still have to go through a little bit of process. It might be a little bit quicker, but still nonetheless. What's the process of getting a job when you're about to get out of the Army? It's painful. I went to some job fairs and I did some different things. I happen to know somebody who was working at the place I work at now, so I've been doing that ever since then. So that kind of was helpful. But for the most part, it's just a lot of looking online. There's some specific ones, like especially like if you had a security clearance in the Army, then there's clearance.com or clearance jobs, I think it is, whatever it is. Website that kind of is helpful for finding those kind of jobs that are looking for veterans and looking for people with security clearances. But yeah, for the most part, it's just trying to look online a lot, trying to go to job fairs, talking to people you know, trying to do all those kind of things. It's a pain. There's a lot of stuff that'll help you when you're getting out. There's the process called ACAP, where you'll go through and you'll do like some different classes on like how to write a resume and how to, prepare for job interviews and all stuff like that. And I recommend, most of that stuff is required anyways, but it's a good thing to go through for people. Chris, can dog handlers still be awarded the Medal of Honor, and can Army dogs still be awarded? Oh, same thing. Is the same question, kind of just twice? I believe so. I don't know when the last time that has happened, but you're talking about the dog itself? So Army dog. Okay, so the dog handler be a Medal of Honor. So dog handler, yes, is still a soldier. I mean, if they did something valorous enough to qualify for a Medal of Honor, then sure. And then as far as the dog itself, I think so, because I think they're still kind of in that same sort of class to where they're able to do things like that. But yeah, I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. I spent over 10 minutes unmasked in the room. What were we talking about? The gas chamber? Gas chamber sucks. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it definitely sucks. Would you ever support allowing high school students to finish basic and AIT, one girl, and then let them do a postgraduate year? It's kind of a thing that they can kind of do now. I guess it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, it kind of seems okay. I don't know if I have anything against that. I'm fine with it. But they already have that where your junior year, after your junior year, you can go to basic training. I don't think you get to do AIT because AIT usually isn't gonna take up too much time. So you're gonna have to just do basic and then go back to school, and then after graduating, go to AIT because there's not gonna be enough time during your summer break to do basic and AIT. How often would we change unit stations? It depends. It used to be a thing where about every 2 or 3 years. Now you can go a little bit longer because they don't want to switch people around quite so often. So there's no set standard. There's no set time unless you're going overseas, because overseas usually has like a limit. Like Korea has like a limit of like about a year or two. Now they've increased like Europe for 3 years. I think it is, where you do a tour for 3 years and then come back to the United States. But if for a unit in the United States, that could be 6 years, could be 3 years. There's no real set standard on that one. Did you ever work with construction engineers? No, not really. I've probably maybe briefly, but nothing like hand-to-hand, like, very closely working with anyone. Special Forces, can you give us some insight to that? I have a video. On how you can try out for the Special Forces. So if you check out that video, that's pretty much mostly everything I know from that video. I mean, maybe a little few things here and there, but... Is it hard to get an Option 4 contract? I don't know. It's all based on probably available slots for airborne school around the time frame of when you're going to basic training. So it kind of probably comes down to that. And then I think there's probably certain MOSs that probably get priority over it, but I don't know for sure. Hey man, does everyone enlist in the Army get bonus? Because I joined on Friday as a 68 Delta, and I don't think anyone told me anything about bonuses. No, not everybody gets bonuses. You have to, so for one, it has to be an MOS that is maybe high in demand or something like that is trying to get more people to join that MOS. So there has to be a bonus for that MOS. But then you also have to score high enough on your ASVAB to qualify you for bonuses. I think there's like a GT score that they kind of look at. You have to have at least a 100 or something like that on your GT score to even qualify for getting a bonus, even if you already qualified for your MOS, but you didn't have a high enough GT score to get you a bonus. Then you don't get a bonus for that MOS, even if that MOS is offering bonuses. So that kind of plays a couple of different factors. But not all people get bonuses. Some people don't get anything. There's a lot of people who don't get anything actually. What's the difference between Ranger and Special Forces? Well, Special Forces is definitely a lot more training. I put them higher than Rangers, but not that Rangers are low or anything like that, but I definitely put them higher. Special Forces, I feel like, is way more intense training. They're doing more kind of special op type of missions. Rangers do some of that, but you can also have a wide variety of MOSs in the Rangers, because Special Forces are specifically 18 series MOSs. You're Special Forces, weapons sergeant, medical sergeant, all kind of stuff like that. Very highly trained individuals, where you can still technically be a cook in the Rangers. Not to say that there's anything bad against cooks or anything, but you could be a cook or you can be an infantry soldier in the Rangers. So Rangers are definitely more open to other MOSs, and you can still be in the Ranger Battalion as that MOS. You might not do the high-speed stuff that like 11 Bravo in the Rangers might do, but you're still technically went through RASP and you had to qualify to get into the Ranger Regiment, and you're there. But you can be other MOSs in the Rangers, where Special Forces, specifically those 18 series, they have to go to that Q course. You ever seen someone cry in basic training? Probably. I think there was maybe a couple of people that really were having a hard time with it, and maybe missing family or just really stressed out or whatever. Nothing too intense and too crazy, but I think there might have been a couple of people that maybe had some small little breakdowns. Maybe. I vaguely remember. I didn't get a bonus, and I picked 11 X-Ray. Yeah, there had a huge bonus for that, but you had to meet a certain criteria, and you had to be shipping off to basic before the end of September to even qualify for that bonus that they were having. But they had a huge $40,000 bonus. How long are Special Forces deployments? They can vary still, usually around 3 months, 1 month, 6 months. It really varies. They do whatever the hell they want. They don't have the same kind of deployment type of schedule as like a regular Army unit does. So they do some crazy stuff sometimes. How do you get better at rucking? Well, it's going to sound stupid, but rucking. Cardio definitely helps. Having good cardio, working on your, the traps or whatever, so that you can support the weight of the bag. Leg muscles, working, maybe some leg presses, maybe some squats and everything like that. That'll definitely help develop leg muscles, but essentially a combination of some of that, but a lot of just getting out there and hitting the road and putting a backpack on or a rucksack on and walking for miles and miles and miles is one of the better ways to kind of condition your feet and condition your body for road marches. But you can do those extra things like doing cardio and everything, but it has to be a combination of doing road marches, doing some cardio, working the legs, working those traps, and it'll get you a little bit better here and there. As time goes on, the more and more you do it, the better and better you get at it. So I'm just now starting to get back into training to get ready for next year's Bataan Memorial Death March, the Marathon Road March over in White Sands Missile Range over in New Mexico, because I'm going to do that again. I did that this year, and I'm going to do it again next year. And I've just today kind of started getting back into the training for it and started, I did a short little 3-mile road march today. It was a real short one, but everything helps. So just kind of getting back into the process, and I'm going to start building up and doing more and more, training a little bit farther out than I did the last one. And I definitely am going to focus a lot heavier on leg muscles, because that definitely killed me the last time. I felt like I was great cardio wise, but my legs just didn't feel like my legs kind of tired out quicker than I thought they were. So I definitely need to work heavier on just probably doing more like squats and leg presses and stuff. Man, I really want to join the military and offer when I can, but I don't like the way they treat soldiers. That varies. There's some people that will have, horror stories of like their leadership treating them like crap. And then there's other people that have great stories of where they had great leadership. And that's anywhere as you go. You could be working at Walmart, you could be working at Denny's, you could be working at McDonald's, you could be working, for a police department, and you just end up with some crappy leadership, a crappy supervisor, whatever, that just makes the experience horrible and treats you like crap. And that can happen anywhere, really. So, you can't say that the military just treats everybody like crap, because other places treat people like crap sometimes too. So it just happens. What else we got? What are the punishments for missing? Was ST? I don't know what STS is. What is that? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what ST. I don't know. Delta Force or Special Forces? Delta Force would be more highly elite than Special Forces. Usually Delta Force recruits from Special Forces and Rangers, occasionally from PSYOPs and stuff, but those are the hardcore individuals right there. I'm going to join the National Guard and become an MP. Well, good luck to you. Hopefully that goes well. What about those Coast Guards? Who does them rescue dives? Those dudes have huge balls. I don't know who's like what specific job that is that does that, so I couldn't tell you from the Coast Guard side. I wasn't in the Coast Guard, so I don't really have any experience with Coast Guard. How come some Army guys graduate in the Army uniform and some in dress uniform, or are they just two different graduations I'm looking at? They do different kind of graduation ceremonies, so for the most part, like when I graduated from basic training, we did ours in our dress uniforms. So that was all you did. You were in your dress uniform, marched, did a ceremony, and then it ended. Now they pretty much do like these little demonstrations and everything like that, put on a little show for the crowd and everything for the family members that come to graduation, where they'll have them change into PTs, they'll have them change into their combat uniform, they have them change into their dress uniform, and based on just simply how they organize that ceremony and what uniform they end in might just be how they kind of end graduation. But nowadays, most basic trainings anyways will have that kind of incorporated into the graduation ceremony of them going through all the different uniforms, just so they can show off, maybe like what they did in basic training and what their uniform, what all the soldiers look like in all these different uniforms and what they wear and everything like that. So that may kind of fluctuate from basic training to basic training or even OSIT as far as how they work their ceremony and how they end the ceremony. Do 11 Bravo recruits usually get shipped off to basic quicker? No, not really based on your MOS, really. I wouldn't say that's a guaranteed thing. It just depends on the time frame you're enlisting and the available slots for basic training or OSIT as far as how soon you can get shipped out. Was it Henry? Hi, I love you, and you got into 3 different ones. Awesome. Well, thank you. Hey, Chris, if you wear prescription glasses, will your combat glasses, these, Google-like glasses, have protection in them too? Or do you have to wear your combat glasses on top of your regular glasses? So if you're talking about like your eye pro, like usually they have inserts. So like people who wear prescription glasses and you have your eye pro, they have these special they're not really they're not bulletproof or anything like that. They're supposed to just mainly prevent against dust and certain other debris from getting in your eye when you're out on mission and everything like that. But they have inserts usually that kind of either clip in, or some will have actual inserts that they remove the lenses from the eye pro to put in prescription lenses. So it kind of depends on the version of eye pro you're wearing. So you have multiple options and you kind of do that. Some people just don't go through the hassle of getting the inserts and you end up just wearing your regular glasses if they're small enough underneath your eye pro. I've done that a few times in Iraq. I had inserts, but it seemed like the inserts always gave me headaches. I don't know. So because my glasses are kind of a low profile kind of glasses or whatever, and the eye pro are usually pretty large, it usually worked okay to just wear my regular glasses underneath my eye pro. And sometimes that worked out okay. But usually you can't just get away with just wearing these because these don't provide any kind of protection on the sides. So you can get stuff to come through the sides. So you can just go with your normal glasses. I think doing my live stream after yours and maybe on Tuesday, whatever Warriors does their thing. Awesome. Depending on what you do, you have to either wear your combat glasses or either your normal glasses sometimes. Yeah, I guess I already answered that one. How was it being in the E4 Mafia? I don't really know if it was as prominent of one as sometimes you hear stories of when I was in E4. I want to join the Army, but I don't know the job I want. Can you help me, please? It depends on what you want to do. I mean, I can't really make that. I don't really know what your interests are or anything like that, but ideally you want to find a MOS or a job in the Army that lines up with something you would want to just a regular career in. So if you're interested in automotive, maybe you should be a mechanic. If you're interested in law enforcement, maybe you can be an MP. If you want to do those high-speed combat stuff, maybe you can go as an X-ray. So it really just depends on your personal preference of your interests and what you're into and what you want to do as far as making that decision. So I can rattle off a bunch of MOSs and different ideas and stuff like that. You can sort through my MOS Monday series and see if anything stands out to you. I would definitely recommend that. Maybe later check that out. Go to my channel and find the playlist for MOS Monday, and possibly you can find that in there and see maybe some good ideas as far as maybe an MOS to join. So you can go from that, but basically just come down to what you're interested in. How long after training do you find out where your first duty station is and when you have to report there? You usually find out in AIT or towards the end of OSIT, depending on what your MOS is and what you're doing. But like for me, I think it was the last 2 or 3 weeks maybe of AIT that I found out what duty station I was going to be going to. But yeah, I mean, that kind of varies on a couple things. But usually towards the end of AIT, towards the end of OSIT, you're going to find out. And then a report date usually comes through your orders. So when you start getting orders for stuff, it'll have a report date on there. So you might not find out your report date until they cut your orders, which would be towards the end of AIT or the end of OSIT, as far as what your report date's going to be. Collab with Art Chisel. He was so when I did the whole Soldier's Creed video, I hit up multiple people to try to be a part of that. Art Chisel was also one of those people, along with Matt Ward, that I was trying to get involved with. Art Chisel also said he was down, but he was pretty busy with his doing a recruiting thing, I guess, and wasn't able to get back to me. So he wasn't able to kind of collab with it, and we haven't really talked since then about anything. So there was works with it. It just happened to be that when I tried doing it, Ben Allen and P. Will were the only ones that really were able to get back to me. Other people were busy or didn't want to. I don't know. I don't know what the deal was, but Ben Allen and P. Will were the only ones that kind of got back to me and wanted to collab on it. Is hazing still in the infantry? I've heard some crazy stories. Technically, you're not supposed to, but it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I mean, technically, you're not supposed to haze someone. That's kind of frowned upon, but it does still happen. So there's still going to be that kind of activity happening sometimes. Have you played the game War Thunder? It's a tank game, World War II tanks to some modern ones. I have a long time ago. It was okay. It was a pretty cool little game. I think I did the plane there was the War Thunder with the planes too, and I did it with the planes. I think I did the one with the tanks too. They're fun games. It's cool. Do you have to go to your first duty station yourself, or does the Army take you? Well, the Army will sort of arrange transportation for you if you need to, unless you're going to just drive your own vehicle there and you want to do something that way. But they kind of arrange everything for you for that. So you can choose to have them fly you there, or you can choose to drive there yourself or whatever. But usually you got to take some vacation time after AIT, and then have a report date that you have to be at that duty station. And so either you have it lined up to catch a flight there, or you drive out there, whatever you're doing. But that's kind of how it sort of works, I guess. How likely is the possibility of doing 20 or more years and retired in the infantry? It's very possible. You just got to be committed to it and want to stay in for that long, really. So, I mean, just being basically in that MOS doesn't really restrict your ability to retire or not. There's several people I know that's what their MOS was. They were 11 Bravos, and they did 20 plus years, retired, got out. So that happens. How can I pass the D-Lab? I don't know. I've never taken the D-Lab, so I couldn't help you with the language. Can anybody do recruiter's assistant after basic training? Yeah, for the most part. They usually will ask in AIT or at the end of OSIT who wants to go do hometown recruiting. I don't know if they have different names. They kind of different things they refer to it as. That's what I always knew it as, was hometown recruiting. And that basically means you get like an extra week or two of basically free vacation to work with your recruiters to help them try to recruit people in the Army, go to local schools or whatever and talk to them about your Army experience. And yeah, for the most part, it's open to pretty much anyone. I don't know if there's some little qualifications here and there, but for the most part, anybody who wanted to do it that I knew of got to do it when I got at AIT. I did it. I was lucky that my recruiter station was not in my hometown. It was actually kind of a little ways away, so it was really just 2 free weeks of free vacation. So they were like, yeah, try to talk to some people that around the town and everything like that, and then maybe give them my number, and if you get some people, I'll call them up and stuff, and try to arrange an appointment with them and try to talk to them about joining the Army. So I did that a little bit, not very much. I think I maybe only got 2 referrals or something like that, maybe 1 or something. And then they called me up and were like, hey, we're going to be at your high school on this day. So we want you to come in your dress uniform, and we're going to talk to the high school band about how they can potentially join the Army and be in the Army band. So I did that for one day, but I've known a lot of people that did hometown recruiting, and they had to do PT with the recruiters. They were there in the office all day, working with them and doing all sorts of stuff. So how much you'll do, it just, I guess, depends on your recruiter station of how much they want to utilize you and how little they want to utilize you, whatever. But I was lucky because mine wasn't in my hometown. Otherwise, maybe I would have been stuck in that situation of doing PT every day with them and stuck in their office all the time. What was the first unit you were in after AIT? I was in 113 Armor in Fort Riley, Kansas, which they are no longer even an armor unit. They are now 113 Cav. And I think they're in Fort Hood or Fort Bliss. I forget where they're at now. But they're not in Fort Riley. But my very first unit that I went to was 113 Armor in Fort Riley, Kansas. How long is the time off after OSIT? Usually you get about a week or two. It depends. And then if you're also doing hometown recruiting, that adds some time onto it. So I think I did 2 weeks off of leave, and then I also did hometown recruiting, so that was an additional 2 weeks. I think I got a whole month, I believe, of it, because I think I want to say I graduated AIT maybe a week or two before Christmas, and I didn't have to report to my first unit until like the middle of January, because I remember spending my 20th birthday in reception at Fort Riley. So what's DLab? It's a language test. You do a language test to see if you qualify for either language MOSs or language pay or other kind of different things. So they kind of test. Also, well, no, it's not really that one. Actually, the DLab one's the one as far as what language you would best qualify to learn. And then if you have a MOS you're trying to get into, or even special forces, that they use those test results to determine what language would be easier for you to learn, and then send you to that language school to learn that language. What is it like to live on base in Afghanistan or Iraq? Food morale, attacks, work hours. So I was only in Iraq. I did Iraq twice, and first time really crummy because I was in the northern part of Iraq. We lived in tents for like the first 6 months. And when a sandstorm came through, it just jacked all your stuff up. Your stuff would be covered in sand. You were having to dump sand out of your sleeping bags and everything, and out of all your clothes. So that would suck. It was also really hot inside those tents. And then you have and then later we went to like these little, they were called chews. They're like these small little buildings that we stayed in. And that got a little bit better, but it's still, we had like a small little PX. It was a little travel trailer kind of a thing. Food was good. Food was good for there, but the PX was very limited. And that was okay. Attacks, because of that base, the way it was designed, was very limited. So because we were so far away from the border of that base, it was a huge little fob, but there was a lot of just dead space. And then everything in the middle, so it was kind of out of range of mortars. So we didn't have to really worry about it. My second deployment was in Baghdad, so that was a little bit different. You had the better PX and some food and everything like that, but a little bit more prone to attacks. You had a few mortar attacks on base and everything like that. So you'd have to go and get out of your room and go to like the little bunkers and stay in the bunkers for a little bit until the attack ended, if there was something going on. But that one wasn't too bad. I don't know. The hours you're working was just whenever. That kind of sucked. You're working 7 days a week. Sometimes you're doing night missions. Sometimes you're doing day missions. Sometimes you're working a ton of hours. Once in a great while, you'd have some, a day where you only worked a few hours. That was a little bit more rare on some cases. So I don't know. It's very wishy-washy here and there. Hometown recruiting is arguably the best. Yeah, hometown recruiting is awesome. If people get qualified for hometown recruiting, it's a pretty good deal. Can I skip AIT and go to OCS if I get citizenship during basic training? No, there's no really way you can skip AIT. AIT is a must. You have to go through it. So if you're doing OCS to become an officer, OCS is kind of like your basic training with a bunch of other officers and everything like that, and a little bit of extra training, I think. And then your AIT for an officer, you have the school for whatever it is you're going to do. So, but no, you can't. There's no skipping AIT for anybody. What is your opinion on Turkish offensive? I have no idea. I don't have an opinion, I guess. If your basic starts November and you get leave during Christmas, what do you have to take with you when you leave? Usually whatever civilian clothes you came with, they'll have you bring those with you. All of your equipment usually just get locked up in the wall lockers that you have there at basic training. You just leave that behind. Sometimes they have you travel in uniform. Nowadays, they usually try to restrict that because they don't want people to become a target, possibly, to anybody who wants to target military individuals. So they usually will have you just go in your civilian clothes sometimes. But usually you won't bring much of anything with you when you go on leave for Christmas break. What do we got for time? We're running out of time. We're almost out of time for this live stream. We got about 5-ish minutes before it's going to end. So if you have not already liked the stream, make sure you hit that thumbs up. Help me out. Make sure you show me that you love the stream and you love being here and that you're awesome, because that's what awesome people do, is hit that like button, hit that thumbs up. So make sure you do so. We got about 5 more minutes before we'll cut off the live stream. Then I'll be back again next weekend, though. Next weekend we'll have all new live streaming once again, and then some videos during the week, of course, as always. What are attacks like? Sucks. So it mostly is like kind of nerve-wracking at the beginning, but you kind of start getting complacent, especially if they're not very effective, and you kind of start getting pretty relaxed with it, to where you're like, oh man, do I have to leave my room and go out into these stupid bunkers, put my gear on during this damn mortar attack? They're not even landing anywhere near us. So I don't know. The first little bit, they're definitely nerve-wracking, but then you kind of start getting used to it. So was it Bass Mayor elected? I don't know what that is. I don't know what the Bass Mayor is. Can you create a council, like a student council for base affairs? Oh, is it for base affairs over yell at you trying to have a base council election? There's no base mayor. You have the sergeant major. If you're talking about like on an army installation, you have the garrison sergeant major. So it's a sergeant major that someone appoints, and then you have the garrison commander. There's no mayor. That's essentially what their kind of role sort of is, I guess, is kind of like a mayor type of thing. But you have a garrison sergeant major and a garrison commander. Was breathing a big obstacle to overcome on the 2-mile run? I mean, sort of. I mean, you get a little bit winded, I guess. The big thing to do is, like, that's why when you're doing, like, physical fitness and you're going on runs, they have you cadence, so that helps you control your breathing. Some people, may choose to do that when they're just running the 2-mile for, like, a physical fitness test. Me, I found daydreaming to be helpful. Usually when I would do my 2-mile run for the PT test or something like that, I try to daydream, and that kind of helped me kind of not focus so much on what was going on and kind of control my breathing a little bit better then. Everybody has their own different techniques of what works better for them, but that's what kind of usually worked for me, was daydreaming. I love the stream. Well, awesome. Make sure you hit that like button if you didn't already. Hit that thumbs up. Do you recommend a combination lock or a key lock? I don't know. It's tough. Like when I went through basic training, they made us have combination locks. Now they allow you to have an option of either combination or a key lock. Combinations are easier because you don't have to worry about the key. You don't have to worry about losing it, but then you also have to worry about speed factor. Sometimes you're in a rush and you have to really hurry up to get that dang lock open, and you pass that number by accident, and now you got to start all over, and that really kills you on time, especially if it's something like the drill sergeant's yelling at you to get something. You're trying to get that damn wall locker open. That sucks. But then the key, you got to hope you don't lose that key. Usually you keep one key and then you give the spare key to the drill sergeant so they lock up somewheres. So if you lose the key, then they have that spare to give you to get the lock open. So I'd probably rather have the key, because usually they have the key on your dog tags, and it's fairly easy as long as you're not complacent to keep track of your dog tags because you're wearing them all the time. So it might be easy to keep things. So maybe the key, maybe, I don't know. I think the key. Love being here. Well, awesome, Hernandez. I love having you here. Did you ever move the rooms like you said a few months ago? Did I ever move the rooms? I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about like GI parties? I never personally had to do an actual full-on GI party that I remember, of having to take everything out of the room and then go and clean everything and put it back in. I never had to do that. I had to just do the basic GI priorities of like really scrubbing the hell out of the barracks. So I never had to really do that. Can you wear your personal glasses, or do you have to wear the Army issued ones? You have to wear the Army issued ones when you're in training, like basic training. Some AITs will be a little bit relaxed on it, but while basic training, you have to wear the Army issued ones. Once you get to your first unit, then you can wear civilian ones. They can't have any logos on them on the civilian ones. You just have to be all one color. They can't be too stylish. You can't have any kind of crazy like ones that have like some kind of flares on them, or I don't know, some kind of weird shaped lenses or something like that. They have to be pretty basic though. So, but yeah, you can wear civilian ones when you're at your unit, but while you're in training, like a basic training anyways, or a OSIT, you have to wear the issued ones that the military gives you. Is 31 Bravo a good MOS to choose if you want to be law enforcement after the Army? I've heard very mixed reviews. 31 Bravo? Is that MP or is that something else? 31 Bravo MOS? Military police? Yeah, I mean, it's good. That's a good one. Sometimes it, gets you a little bit of experience in law enforcement already. Some people recommend getting into certain other MOSs that are good for like law enforcement as well, but that's definitely one of the good options to get into if you want to pursue law enforcement after you get out. Great channel, however, Chaos. Keep it up. Well, thanks. You make a video on everything you kept after the Army. I could. I don't know. I don't think there's anything really that exciting though. I mean, I have some old uniforms. I may have some old pouches, boots. I have an old NBC suit. I think I got rid of that thing. Yeah, I think I got rid of that thing at a flea market from a friend who sold it off for me. I don't know if I have anything exciting though. So that might be a kind of a boring video. I don't think I have anything really that cool that I kept. Was printed on dog tags when you join the Army. What was printed? What's printed on the dog tags when you join the Army? So it's kind of your name. They used to put your social security number on them. They don't do that anymore. Now they have kind of like your DOD number that you get assigned to you. So you have that printed on it now. You have your blood type on there. Your religious preference. If you don't have a religion, then it says no preference. And I believe that was it. So it's your full name, your DOD number, your blood type, and your religious preference. I think that's it. MOS Monday? Maybe. There might be an MOS Monday. I'm not 100% sure if there will be an MOS Monday episode tomorrow or not. I'm going to try to do some stuff, but I'm not sure if I will or not. Is the Army adding pull-ups to the PT test? No, it's not really pull-ups. It's the leg tuck. So you hold onto the bar, bring your knees up to your elbows, or your thighs up to your elbows. So it's not really pull-ups. It uses some similar muscles, but also more focuses on the abs than it does the biceps and upper body strength that pull-ups do. Do they still have dog tags? They do. They do still have dog tags. All right, a couple more. Let me find an old question. We're just past that 1 hour mark of this live stream. So I'm going to see if I can find an older question. Sometimes that proves to be very hard. Let's see if I can find. Let's do this one. Was it Susan 1965? My son is returning to the Army, age 23. Would you recommend 88 Mike? Did you like it? Is it dangerous? Mom question. That's understandable, Susan. During a combat environment, it is pretty dangerous because the big threat, especially like Iraq and Afghanistan, and it depends on who I guess we're fighting in wars and stuff like that as far as what the threat is. But with Iraq and Afghanistan, roadside bombs were a big threat. And that meant that 88 Mike's truck drivers were constantly on the road all the time, transporting equipment, transporting all sorts of things, and you were on the road a lot. So you were very vulnerable to roadside bombs, IEDs. So that was pretty dangerous. It was an okay MOS. It wasn't something I was necessarily into. I always recommend to find something you're into that maybe could lead to a better career when you get out, or maybe you want to stay in for 20 plus years. So pick something that you wouldn't mind doing for that long. I just kind of went with something I qualified for just to get a little bit of experience, and I was going to get out after 4 years, but 4 years turned into a little over 10. But would I recommend it if that's something your son wanted to do, was do transportation after the military, or just be in the military for 20 plus years and do transportation? Then sure. Is it dangerous? It can be. It can be during a war environment. So thank you for your question, Susan, if you're still here. And then one more new one. Let's see. We'll do a couple of these last few ones maybe. Are there things in the PX that are restricted by rank? No. There's nothing. Anything in PX is open for civilian or authorized people to shop in the PX, I guess you could say. But there's nothing that's restricted based on rank from inside the PX. Now you're not going to have like any kind of free range at it when you're in basic training or AIT, but when you're in your regular duty station, you go to the PX, you free range to buy whatever you want to buy as long as you can afford it. Was there any blanket parties when you were at basic training? No, I mean, nothing crazy like that. That's mostly in the movies. I mean, it could possibly happen in the real world, but if someone got caught doing something like that, they'd probably be in some big trouble, and that would be horrible to jack up your Army career right at the very beginning because you got in trouble for assault, because that's essentially what it is. It's going to be assault. So you're going to get charged with assault. Let's see, maybe one more question, maybe. I guess we'll just do this last one right here. Hey man, I'm an E1 in 25 Bravo AIT, and I'm trying to go RASP and sign up. Any advice for success? So you're still in AIT. You're going to have to talk to your unit when you get to your very first unit, whenever you get your orders and everything, and you go to report to your first unit and everything like that. Start talking to your leadership about RASP, that you're interested in it and everything. And sometimes they only have a few select amount of slots to be able to send people to RASP from your units. Special Forces is actually a little bit easier to go to, not necessarily easier to pass and get selected for, but easier to go attend than RASP is, where RASP relies on unit funds because Special Forces comes off of Special Forces funds. And so the unit doesn't have to pay anything to send you to SFAS, but they do have to pay out of their funds to send you to RASP. And then if you don't make it, then it's for nothing. So that in that aspect can be a little harder to get to it, but essentially tips for going to RASP, be in great shape is one. Learn some different tactics, learn some different things here and there. But your physical condition is going to be a big factor in it, because you're really going to be tested at RASP and even SFAS if you were to go that option too. But definitely that's a big one. You're going to be taught some things and then tested on it. Land nav, definitely make sure you know what the hell you're doing on land nav. But physical condition is a very big thing that you have to kind of work on to make sure that you're good. So, all right. So that's going to end it. That's going to be the end of the stream. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. If you didn't already, make sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed the stream. I definitely appreciate that. The next one will probably be Sunday again. I like doing Sundays for the live stream, so I'll probably schedule it maybe in the middle of the week or something like that. So if you want to set a reminder, then you can do so. For Elite members, I'll probably do something again where maybe 30 minutes prior to Chaos Live, I'll hang out with Elite members for a little bit, for about 20 minutes. Before the main live stream and all that kind of fun stuff. So we'll see if I can work on maybe an MOS Monday tonight, maybe to get up tomorrow. We'll see if it happens or not. But if anything, there's other videos that are still going to be posting during the week and everything like that before we get to the whole Chaos Live again for Sunday. So you guys are awesome. You guys are just killer. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you guys for being here for Chaos Live. I haven't promoted this in a while, so how about I still have a few stickers left. If you want to shoot me a self-addressed envelope with a stamp on it, that's my P.O. box. You don't have to hurry up and try to write that down now if you don't want to. I also have this address down in the description box down below. It's also available on my website, ChristopherChaos.com. You can shoot me email from there. You can find this address on there. All that kind of fun stuff. But that's my address for the P.O. box. Send me a self-addressed thing, and I'll send you a Chaos sticker as long as I still have a few still kind of left. But thank you guys. You guys are awesome. I'll see you guys next time. See ya.